Hello, my dear students. Yesterday we have studied about the activity that explain us about the melting point and boiling point of water. Let us try to understand more about this melting and boiling in detail. We have answered the question that says yes, matter can change its state. Let's understand in detail some questions that arises in our mind. Let us see what are those questions. These questions are: number 1, what happens inside the matter during the change of state? Second question, what happens to the particles of matter during the change of states? Third question, how does this change of state takes place? So these are the question actually that arises in our mind when we really study about the state of change or change in the states of matter. Let us start our journey in search of finding these answers. So let us try to understand the answer for those questions. On increasing the temperature of solids, the kinetic energy of the particles increases. Now, see, when we give heat to the solid, the temperature of the solid increases. We know that the kinetic energy depends upon temperature. More is the temperature, more is the kinetic energy. That is why, as the kinetic energy of the particle or as the temperature increases, the kinetic energy of the particle also increases. Due to increase in the kinetic energy, the particles start vibrating. Due to increased kinetic energies, the particles of solid cannot move because they are closely packed, so they start vibrating with greater speed. Initially, they were vibrating with a slower speed, but now they have started vibrating with a greater speed. When the energy supplied by heat overcomes the force of attraction between the particles leave their fixed position. In solid, these particles have their fixed position and they can just vibrate around their mean position. But now, when you provide more and more heat, the time it comes when the heat provided to the particles or heat given to the particle is so much that these particles leave their mean position, leave their position. The particles leave their fixed position and start moving freely and more freely. A stage is reached when the solid melts and is converted to liquid. So when the particles moves freely and more freely and more freely and more freely and ultimately they start moving like the particles of liquid freely, and that is how they are converted into liquid. So a stage is reached when the solid melts and is converted to a liquid. So now we should understand about the melting point. The temperature at which a solid melts to become a liquid at the atmospheric pressure is called its melting point. This is the definition of melting point. I am going to repeat it once again for you. Please learn, my dear students, this definition. The temperature at which a solid melts to become a liquid at the atmospheric pressure is called its melting point. Now, there are some special characteristics that we should know about the melting point. The first one is melting point of a solid is an indication of the strength of the force of attraction between its particle. Now, what does it wants to tell us? See, if the melting point of solid is higher, that means if it melts at higher temperature, then we can say that the particle of that particular solid have more attraction between them. But if a solid melts at low melting point or at lower temperature, we can say that the strength of force of attraction is less. Melting point of a solid is a fixed temperature, remember, For a pure solid, melting point is always fixed. So, if a substance is pure or mixed with another substance, that can be determined by determining its melting point. If the substance melt at its fixed point of temperature, we can easily say that the substance is pure. But if the substance melts at higher or temperature higher than its melting point or lower than its melting point, then we can say that something has been mixed to that particular substance and the substance is not pure. In the next video, we will study about the fusion. I hope, my dear students, you are enjoying. Happy learning.